Good morning. Domestic abuse is rarely a one-time event. It usually gets worse and happens more often. The damage to victims is real. Domestic violence is the leading cause of injury to women in the United States. According to the U.S. Bureau of Justice Statistics, men batter close to 1 million women a year. Untold numbers of women suffer permanent injuries, brain damage, blindness, deafness, disfigurement and mutilation, damage to or loss of internal organs, paralysis, and so on. Women who are victims of domestic violence are more likely to attempt suicide, suffer from depression, anxiety, general chronic pain, headaches, arthritis, and stomach ulcers. Many pregnant women miscarry as a result of beatings, and many birth defects are caused by assault on the mother during pregnancy. Many women have been infected with HIV by batterers who force them into unprotected sex. Every day in 1998, 5 women died violently at the hands of men who claimed to love them, accounting for 1/3 of all women murdered that year. Children from homes affected by domestic violence are being abused at a rate of 1,500% higher than the national average. It is estimated that 7 million children between the ages of 12 and 17 witness domestic violence each year. Domestic violence is a real and serious issue. Knowing these facts made our group passionate about helping. The Beloit Domestic Violence Shelter was opened in 1985 in an attempt to help these women and their children. They provide many services, including an emergency shelter for victims of domestic violence and their children. The shelter has the capacity to house 7 adult women and the minor children in their care. The capacity of the building is 20 to 22, depending on the ages of the children. In the 15 years for which records have been kept, 2010 ranked as the 4th heaviest year of daily occupancy at the Beloit Domestic Violence Shelter, as they provided a total of 3,761 shelter nights. In the second half of the year, utilization of the shelter was the highest recorded, with an average of 96.5% room occupancy for those 6 months. The need for these services is not going away anytime soon. When we met with the director, Corey Forrester, we found that most of the women and children that enter the shelter enter with only the clothes on their back or maybe a small bag of personal items. The shelter has an ongoing list of items that they need to be able to provide quality living for the victims of domestic violence. The 4 of us found that this is where we could provide help to the shelter, the women, and their children.
All right, on a lighter note, let's talk about our group and kind of a timeline of where we've come from, how we started, and how we got to this point. Everybody's been on a group before. Everybody's worked in teams before, miserable ones and ones that have been very productive and very awesome. Team LDA number 5 was extraordinary to work with. We all had great chemistry, and I want to kind of have a starting lineup here. Batting first, playing the role of keeping everyone on task, and our ace collector, Sarah Johnson, Youth to Youth. Batting second, playing the role of community awareness and our connection to the city of Beloit, Shauna Ella Mean, Greater Beloit Economic Development Corporation. Batting third, playing the role of our creative mind and idea creator and motivator, Chris Ramos, Best Events Catering. Batting cleanup and playing the role of keeping everyone loose, and entertainment director and material collector, myself, Riley Gastisha, M&I Bank. And batting fifth, playing the role of the greatest mascot in minor league baseball, Snappy D. Turtle, Beloit Snappers Baseball Club. Snappy here has some tickets, so we're going to start them right over here and pass them back as you go. So, first of all, when we learned about our project assignment and our teams were assigned, we started brainstorming and got the ball rolling. Our idea stemmed from one key point, and that was not to go and look for money. We were going to look for something that was tangible, materials. We figured with Rock County and the economic status that it is in, money was probably not what we should be looking for. So using that starting point, we decided on doing a materials drive for a shelter that Sarah just talked about, so the people that use the shelter can use these materials. We established that idea, but we needed some wow factor. So we entered in Snappy. We thought the Beloit Snappers were a great place because they have a ton of resources for advertising, and the Beloit Snappers are very proactive in getting in front of the community to, one, help the community, get their name out there, and hopefully put people in their seats, right, Snap? All right. So we set, first of all, we set a meeting up with General Manager Jeff Voss and Assistant GM Matt Bozen and LDA Project Leader Brian Anderson to run an idea past the Snappers. We didn't know really what they were going to think about it, but when we left there, Cupboard to Cupboard was on its way. We were very excited. The Snappers took onto it. We left there. The Snappers said, well, why don't we give free tickets to everyone that donates, and why don't we give them a prize giveaway cards on the 7th inning of May 21st when we have that game, that someone wins something. So one, it helps out the shelter, helps out the Snappers, and it helps out who's donating. So that's where that kind of came from. After we left the Snappers, we thought, well, let's run this by Corey Forster with the Beloit Domestic Violence Shelter. We met with her there at the shelter. Corey gave us a rundown on the shelter and the background and everything about it. We talked about Cupboard to Cupboard and the Beloit Snappers, and everything was a go. Everything was just straightforward. We were ready to rock. Corey actually handed us a list of items that prioritized what was needed from top to bottom, and with Chris Ramos's amazing abilities, we created a flyer. That flyer has been very critical to helping us, and there's Stacy's got some flyers here. That flyer we hand out to as many people as we can. It has a list, and it's worked out very well. When we left there, the game was on. We basically waited for Snappy to get his tickets in. Obviously, they hadn't started yet. So once we got the ticket stock in from Snappy, we started collecting products for the shelter and items for our giveaway. So I think that's next. Shauna?
Okay. How many of you have an extra box of Kleenex just laying around at home? Because I know all of us shoppers, we buy 2 or 3 boxes and they just sit around. Well, for the Beloit Domestic Violence Shelter, this isn't something that we normally think of as something that we should give away and we should buy a stock up just to donate to a place. But to the Beloit Domestic Violence Shelter, it's very important. They don't have the cleaning supplies that they need. They don't have the toothbrushes to give to all the people who have to come in there. So we set out to kind of just go around to our companies too. Riley has a permanent drop-off location at his bank on Prairie Avenue at M&I. I have one at my place, which is the Vision Center, 500 Public Avenue, downtown Beloit. And we decided to do the first fireworks night of the Snappers, and that's May 21st, as it's on all your tickets. And the reason that we wanted to do that was, again, what Riley said, to fill their seats too, to give something back to the Snappers, but also to kind of motivate people to bring their kids to that too, to kind of see the giving back is something that you should show your kids how to do as well. And as part of the giveaways, we contacted local retailers, and this is just a variety of some of the stuff that we collected. So there's some gift cards in there, and Riley actually got 2 signed autographed baseballs. I'll never say this name right, but one is Paul Molitor, and one is Ryan Sandberg? Ryan Sandberg, sorry. And we actually got some different items from Best Events Catering, gave us $25 gift cards to put in both of those. And then we actually got North Leaf Winery of Milton, gave us an assortment of wines, and Best Events threw in an additional gift card in there worth $50. So we'll have actually 3 prizes that somebody will win there. And then Riley's wife decided to donate a party from Hog Cabin. So that'll be something fun to win. Imagine that, right? And we were actually featured just yesterday in the Beloit Daily News for our event, and copies are at the back table for everybody to see. That lists our events that we're going to have coming up. So tomorrow we're going to be at Walgreens on Prairie Avenue in Beloit from 10 to 2 collecting items. Those people will again get a Snappers ticket and a giveaway ticket there. And then next Saturday we'll be at Walgreens on Madison Road in Beloit and be doing the same. And Leadership Development Academy said that they were going to put us on their Facebook page. So once you visit their Facebook page, I'd be happy if all of you can copy and share that event with all of your friends and family members so that way they can come as well. And that's it.
Hello. So what, now that the project is nearing its completion, and the most important thing to remember is that it isn't finished yet. May 21st is when we're actually having the game. It's the first fireworks at Snappers. And what we're going to do at that night is just sort of wrap everything up, still collect donations, and that'll just sort of be the culmination of what we're building here. You know, it's true that we had some great partnerships with this event. It's true that we all did really well and got along because we all found you know, something that we were passionate about and sort of built a group around that. You know, that's the point. The point is that partnerships build communities, and communities stick together. They build each other. And, you know, they also take care of the broken and the battered. So for us, it was important to find what's the future of our project. The future is, you know, is actually pretty promising. You don't have to reach beyond your means. You don't have to go outside of what you would, you know, think is above and beyond, because we're making simple choices and simple donations which make a huge difference. So for us, you know, we think our project will give hope to families that are working their way through the domestic violence shelter. We also found that, you know, you can take your talents, in each individual talent and even in each individual business, and sort of culminate that and contribute further into the community. So we've already talked about maybe even doing something like that next year, and just sort of keeping this maybe a yearly thing to just build from one nonprofit or one, you know, shelter in need to the next. You know, we should be able to go and do that. We should be able to find local businesses, connect them together, make sure that when we're feeding the community need, that they're also seeing that as an important step. So business to business relationships was a huge part of this. Our hope is to inspire that other groups will be able to connect with their community. Our hope is to show that the community, you know, they can make a big difference with just small means. And our hope is also to show that, you know, everyone can get out there, find a community, find a group, and, you know, see what's out there. So, you know, unfortunately, it's pretty easy to find a group out there that's helping those in need. So we'll try to see what we can chip away, and everyone's, you know, hopefully inspired by our group. And that's it. Thank you, guys.